Any quick tips for first time cruisers? Number one, work with a travel agent, a good travel agent. Number two, research your cruise ahead of time. Read a past cruise compass. So that way you have an idea of the activities and what to expect on board your ship. Number three, pre-purchase um, everything you can. When I boarded Independence of the Seas, I was on the promenade, and there was a line. I'm gonna guess it was at least 10 people. So let's assume 10 to 20 people deep, right? Um, these people were buying the drink package on the ship. And I was like, you fools! Why? Number one, you are wasting your time on board the ship, waiting in a line to do something you could have done before the cruise. But more importantly than that, you are overpaying because you could have got it before the cruise, saved a lot of money. So pre-purchase whatever you want to get there, and whether it's short excursions, Wi-Fi, drink packages, especially dining, the spa, pre-book it. Yeah. 36 hours in Cozumel, limited funds. What are two excursions you would recommend? Paradise Beach. It's pay as you go place. Texas states, they have it all inclusive, but you can go pay as you go. And basically, if you just go there and order a drink, all you do is pay for that. So it's very economical. I like that quite a bit. I would say that's number one excursion I would recommend. Number two is not an excursion at all. I would just simply take a taxi downtown and walk around the downtown area of San Miguel. There's a lot of shopping, dining. It's pretty easy to do that. And then obviously you're in control of what the budget is for that. What's the best way to book different restaurants for the 3 night dining package on board? Basically, you go to any restaurant and they can book any other restaurant for you, Lawrence. If you go to Chops first, not only can Chops book you Chops, they can book you Giovanni's and Wonderland and everything like that. What I actually do, my preferential approach is when you go on the promenade, you board the ship, you're on the promenade, look for a kiosk. There's usually a crew member there in front of a computer, and it has the sign and it'll say like specialty dining reservations. And that's a lot easier because you don't have to go all around the ship. You go right there, they have the computer for you. I just did this exactly when I was on Independence of the Seas. Worked out really, really well. They're almost always somewhere on the Royal Promenade. On Wonder, it's probably near the pub or near Sorrento's. Keep an eye out for it. The Holy Land cruise is interesting, but is Israel safe? Israel is safer than the United States in many regards. Yes, absolutely, very safe. I mean, they really take their border security extremely safely. Seriously, I should say. I would tell you this: I would have no qualms, traveling there. I mean, there's risks everywhere. I don't want to make you seem like there's no risk because there's risk anywhere. There's risk going to, Miami, Florida, but that doesn't mean you should stop what you're doing. I think it's a great itinerary, great place to visit. I say go for it, my friend. Why do they not do Alaska cruise tours on the bigger ships? That's a really great question. I suspect it's because of the fact that the smaller ships, Radiance, in fact, does the open jaw sailings, and it makes more sense to do it with the open jaw than anywhere else because when you do the open jaw, you're somewhere in Seward, Alaska. So you're already like in the right position to start because you're close to Anchorage to be able to do the inland stuff. Whereas when your cruise begins and ends in Seattle, you're in the wrong place. If that makes sense. Go to Cozumel, but family wants history, not beaches. They want to go to Tulum or Chichen Itza. What's the least painful trip? You're the bee's knees. The difference is arguably the same. The problem with both of those places is you have to take the ferry from Cozumel to the mainland. And that ferry is notorious for people getting seasick on it. I'm not exaggerating. Like everybody that goes on there gets seasick. It's really bad. Once you get there, it's fine. The problem with Chichen Itza is by far the best history, no doubt about it. The problem is it's going to be an 8 or 9 hour day, and you're only going to have like 45 minutes at Chichen Itza because of the commute times. You've got to, take the ferry over to the mainland, then take a bus into the jungle to reach Chichen Itza, and to do it all back. It leaves you very little time at the ruins. So, I've not done it before, but a lot of people always say the same thing. It was awesome, but man, I wish I had more time over there because the commute is just killer. It's just a lot of time sitting around on a bus and a ferry and puking on the ferry, and not a lot of time at the ruins. So, ugh. Tulum is a lot closer. Tulum is right around. So you still have to take the ferry, but then you're right there because it's in Playa del Carmen. Tulum is definitely a nicer ruins that you're going to find on than on Cozumel. The problem with Tulum is it's very over touristy now at this point. I mean, there are ruins there, but it's not exactly. It's questionable how authentic or it's authentic. You know what I mean? Like the historical value there. I'm not so sure, but it is really beautiful and a great place to go swimming, which is not related at all to the history of it. I would say if you're purely interested in history and can deal with the ferry ride, Chichen Itza is the way to go. But if you can, do Chichen Itza in Costa Maya, not Cozumel, and do the beaches in Cozumel instead. What did you think of the improvements to the Nassau Pier? Great question. I was there yesterday, and I liked it a lot. I mean, number one, it's brand new. Anything brand new is usually really nice. Number two, it felt much more spread out. There was more space. The old Nassau port was very like cramped. This felt much more open. I kind of wish there was more indoor spaces with air conditioning personally, but I did appreciate the way that they laid it out. I think it's a really nice setup. It needed a gut job badly because the old Nassau port was really old and it looked a little grimy. This looks much nicer. The flow is way better now, especially getting in and out of the port area. I like it quite a bit. I mean, unfortunately, when you leave the port area, you're still in Nassau that you remember. But I will say overall, it is a much needed improvement there. I like that quite a bit. What are my thoughts on Utopia offering only short sailings? I think this is long overdue. I think Royal Caribbean should have done this a long time ago. Disney, to their credit, has been doing this from the get go. They put their new ships on short 3 and 4 night cruises, and it gets a lot of attention. Because remember, a lot of first time cruisers, they don't watch my videos, they don't get this advice here. They book short cruises. And for a long time, Royal Caribbean had, the old ratty ships doing 3 and 4 nights. Like I remember when I first started RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com, the 3 and 4 nighters were like Majesty of the Seas and Enchantment of the Seas, right? And in a world of Oasis, Allure, and Freedom, it's hard to be like, yeah, you should try Royal Caribbean, but not those ships. Anyway, I love this strategy. I think it's a great idea. I think it's going to do wonders for Royal to get a lot of attention, number one. Number two, get a lot of new cruisers on and then retain them because they're going to get on board these ships, be amazed, blown away by what the ship has to offer, and then come away from it thinking, this is incredible, as opposed to, not that they would have a bad time on an older ship, but you can only make your first impression once, right? I think that's what it's all about right there. So I think from a marketing standpoint and I guess experience standpoint, I think it's a great idea. Now for you and me who've been there, done that, listen, at the end of the day, it's a lot cheaper to go on a 3 night cruise than a 7 night cruise. So, the prices actually aren't too bad on that. I like that quite a bit. Do you think young kids like 7 and 9 would appreciate Alaska? Yes. No, you should do that. Listen, I brought my kids to Alaska a couple times now. They love it. First of all, the animal viewings, the ability, there's a lot more walking, like hiking, not like crazy hiking, but just trails to go on. It is very inviting. There's a lot of nature, and that gets kids really interested, I think, more than you might think. Whether it's wildlife viewings or it's just going in trails and exploring. I think it's a fabulous age for kids to go to Alaska. So yeah, do that. Absolutely. Do you have any favorite cruise YouTube channels that you follow, subscribe to? Yes. Emma Cruises, Cruise Habit, Travel Spree, Griffin Alyssa, Tony Lee Loca. Those guys are all good. I enjoy those. I watch them quite a bit, especially when it's like my wife and I when we're on the couch. It's like after the kids go to bed. That's our favorite thing to do. Pull up YouTube on the TV, watch some of those folks there. They do a great job. There's some really, really good people in the sphere, and many of them are very nice. I have not met many YouTubers, but I met my fair share, and they've all been very, very nice folks. And the reason why I mentioned the people that I mentioned is because I feel like they're authentic. They're not over the top. They're not in your face, and I think they present a really interesting approach and a personalized approach to cruising. So I really appreciate what they do. And there's many more out there. I just haven't seen them or haven't met them, so I don't know what I don't know. But I'm not saying that's the only list of people that are good. Just ones I happen to subscribe to personally. First time cruisers sailing on Wonder of the Seas in March. What are some of the daily activities that are fun I should do? Trivia is really fun. It's a really cool passive experience. It's not too intense or something like that. I would say that's definitely something to do every day. Number two, I would probably pick. That's a good question. Trivia. I mean, there's so many activities going on there. I mean, if you're a fan of karaoke, I am not a fan of karaoke, but if you're into karaoke, my goodness, the karaoke bar there is amazing. Definitely worth doing. The water slides are really cool. Do that. I feel like I'm forgetting something obvious from an activity standpoint. Live music. Whenever there's live music, Mike, the jazz music in Central Park. That's a really good one. Go there, seek that out. It's usually right around like 7 o'clock or so. But go to Central Park and look for the live jazz. It'll be in the cruise planner in the app, but go there and it's a really enjoyable experience. It's just grab a drink from the Trellis bar, walk over, listen to the music. I'm not like a big jazz guy at all, but it's undeniably fun and relaxing. So I say, yeah. Thank you everybody for hanging out with us, talking some cruising. We'll be back again next Monday to do it all over again. Join us next Monday right here on YouTube. Until then, have a great week, everybody. Stay safe out there. Do something fun. We'll talk again very soon right here on YouTube. Bye, everybody.